maybe this is pandering, but I'm going to start using the Joss Whedon approach, which is the Flintstones vitamins approach to entertainment. He said that with Buffy the Vampire Slayer, he was trying to tempt men who like strong women but aren't sure if they should ... exist, which is interesting since then Joss Whedon got a lot of shit for Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, admitting that she feels monstrous because she was sterilized as an adolescent, which I think is perfectly psychologically logical. She didn't say she feels useless or ugly or evil, although monsters can be ugly and evil, but not always. She's talking to a monster who's not evil, the Hulk. I mean, when she says, "Do you still think?" She says to Bruce Banner, who she's fallen in love with, "Do you still think you're the only monster on the team?" Her face looks a lot more beautiful doing that than I do. But let me try it. "Do you still think you're the only monster on the team?" I'm not as subtle an actress as Scarlett Johansson. She's amazing. Her performance in Her without her beautiful face and sexy body shows that she can act. People say Jennifer Lawrence can't. The Birdman said she can't, but I don't know. I'm not a judge. My suspension of disbelief is too good. Anyway, this is going to be really quick, but now I'm talking about Scarlett Johansson as Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow. She's speaking to a benevolent monster, and so she's only saying, "I'm a benevolent monster," and he became a monster by accident. And she was mutilated against her will. She's just saying she feels mutilated and she feels denatured. That's psychologically realistic. You don't have to be a self-loathing, non-feminist female. In Black Widow. Come on. Watch a Black Widow fight scene. Watch any movie where Black Widow strategizes and functions and always achieves her goal. She's a great holistic feminist icon. Some overly partisan person on YouTube was like, they're going to phase Black Widow out of the MCU because she's a traditional woman who uses her femininity, and she's the female hero's journey is to tame the beast. And I was like, oh, excuse me, the female hero's journey, the heroine's journey is subordinate on the man, whereas the man's journey doesn't even barely have a woman in it? Oh, I don't think so. I don't know what the female hero's journey is. Probably quite similar to the male hero's journey, but with some kids. The kids are probably like both the blessings and the demons, like their bad moods. Anyway, so Joss Whedon got a lot of shit for that scene, which was unwarranted. On the other hand, he had Tony Stark say he was going to reinstate prima nocta, which is the rule where the ruler gets to bed every bride before the wedding day, which is basically legalized rape. So I'm going to give Joss Whedon a hard no, a big sin on that one, and totally exonerate him on the Black Widow scene. It was a beautiful scene, well written. I mean, was it beautiful? If they would get their cinematography act together, it would have been beautiful, and their color register. The MCU has a problem with color, even Guardians and Ragnarok, although those have such beautiful saturated colors, they have a problem with contrast. They lack contrast. That's why Martin Scorsese is Martin Scorsese. And somebody on YouTube, on CinemaSins, actually said about The Godfather and Scarface, they were just okay. I mean, The Godfather? Come on. I don't like the Robert De Niro part of Godfather Part 2 particularly, but Michael Corleone in Godfather Part 2, you don't find that chilling? I'm going to check your pulse and your cerebral cortex, and your taste. Where is taste located? That's a good question. Brain scientists, get on it. Where does good taste come from? I think I have exquisitely good taste, and people who think they have exquisitely good taste tend to recognize it in each other, so there's some kind of objectivity about that. Although I'm sure there's a big cultural factor. Like when I hear Chinese some near Chinese opera, I'm pretty much lost. When I hear like songs that Chinese ladies might sing about their lovers or for their lovers or both, I go, oh, I can get with that. It's a different tonality, but I can get with that. Anyway, I was just going to say I'm going to do the Joss Whedon thing, which is I'm going to emphasize entertainment in my titles and try to make my videos look pleasing, either because then I look pretty, or I'll just cover my not so pretty face up with bubbles, or purple and mostly purple and a little bit of red and some blue light. And while you're going, oh, pleasing, entertaining, I'm going to try and get some human condition information out there. Enlighten y'all about the human condition from my vantage point. And then in the comment section, please write once in a while. You can tell me about the human condition from your vantage point. Like you can start by saying, I experienced loving this video. And then you might go on to say, like on the memorial service, you could say, my dad died 2 years ago. I'm still sad about it. And that won't take too much of your time, but we can start the ball rolling to share. Okay. Oh, you should watch Karuna on YouTube. The other day I said you should all be watching Film Joy. I know you're not going to, but I forgot who I'm speaking to. I still think I'm speaking to my Facebook friends. They don't pay attention at all to my YouTube recommendations. But you guys are YouTubers, and YouTubers are a different sort. You're not here to just kind of say, hi, person I went to college or high school with. Good to see you. Your 7-year-old is adorable. I'm being sociable. Like, no comment, minimal comment. You're actually looking for content that fascinates you, which is why I'm here. Because I started to realize that this is more the kind of platform for what I'm interested in doing. I just never expected to be doing it this way, because I'm supposed to be writing 8, 12, maybe 40 drafts of a poem or short story or my new métier. That means like genre. Like you read a genre, but you find, as an artist, you find your métier. And when you find your métier, you will produce probably consistent genre. Like autobiography or horror fiction. Those would be two very different métiers. Hopefully horror fiction is not autobiographical. So anyway, my métier of the last 5 years has been what I've been calling novelistic diary, which that means things that really happened, but not writing about it like, I felt this, I thought that, why am I the way I am? Do I have abandonment issues, mommy issues, daddy issues? But more, he said this, I said that, then she said, and then she went away, and then he said, and then I said, and then I said, and then he said, and then he kissed, and then I kissed, and then we, happy, sad, love, conflict, with some, yeah, maybe I have abandonment issues, actually, after all, in the mix, but it's not a 12-step diary. It's not a introspective diary. It's a narrative with introspection. So the task is to create a beautiful, interesting narrative. The problem is, like these videos, it tends to get non-linear, or it's going in one direction. I stopped doing it when I realized I was going in one direction with the timeline, and then I would do a flashback, and then I would do a flash forward to somewhere between the present and the flashback, and then I would go back to the flashback, and then I would go back to the present moment, and then I would go back to the flashback in between, and then I would go back to the flashback, and I went, whoa, even I don't know where I am now. No reader's going to know where I am. And I just instinctively, as a writer, taught myself to put myself in the reader's shoes and write something I would want to read and be able to understand. And my teacher, Thea Sullivan, really liked that. She said, I get the feeling like you're willing to kind of reach forward, to the reader. And I said, I don't think about it. I mean, I thought in my mind, I don't think about it. Over the years, I never copied anybody. I was influenced by people, and I admired people. Sylvia Plath, Anais Nin, Shakespeare. Not to, it's just I liked Shakespeare in high school and college, and after. RHYS, my favorite novelist, RHYS. I kind of almost feel like I was RHYS in a past life, except our lives overlapped by a couple of years. But my boyfriend is like a 6th Sigma, and he says it doesn't matter, and I always suspected it doesn't either. But was Jean as kind of energetic and active as me? maybe not. And I believe the Enneagram types are inborn, so that would mean she didn't have a 7 fix. Or maybe she did. My 7 fix doesn't manifest nearly as much when I drink, and she drank a lot. And I think she hid her 7 fix, her 7 Enneagram type qualities in her fiction, because when you read her fiction, she just sounds like this depressed, alienated call girl. And when you read the biography of her, she was much more sprightly and much more of a minx. Like the relationship she describes in her first novel, she describes herself as a sort of like Hamlet-like zombie of indecision, wandering around being taken advantage of by a wealthy man, as if she's just sort of a victim of the relationship, but she loves to make love to him. When you close the door, it is like 1,000 years, but over too. You close the curtains, and then it is like 1,000 years, but over too quickly. In reality, she pursued him plenty. They pursued each other. She was coquettish with him. He called her kitten. She called herself your kitten, I think. She was completely coquettish with him. There's not an ounce of coquetry in the novels. She was probably trying to redeem the tart, the fallen woman, the fallen young woman who works in a chorus, who does or used to work in a chorus. And, so see, suddenly this is about Jean Reeves, my favorite novelist. At the height of her career, which was when she was elderly, which bothered her. I think she would have wanted to be famous when she was pretty, sans blanche, in her words, which means without flaw. A. Alvarez, who was a friend and almost boyfriend of Sylvia Plath, so a much younger man at that time than Jean Reeves, said quite simply the best living writer in English. Or did he say novelist? He probably said novelist. Living writer would be, English is people write in English all over the world, and people write books in every genre. You probably say quite literally the best living novelist in English. I'll look it up. It's on the back of Wide Sargasso Sea, the late 1960s edition. I have 2 copies of it because one got bleached by the sun. It's beautiful. It's red and green, and it's just the outline of Antoinette and Christophine. My new story is about Christophine with a K, not a C, and Janae. It's my alter ego. My creative writing name is Janae Marx, which is a little awkward because I'm definitely not a Marxist of any sort anymore. And that was meant to invoke Jean Genet and Karl Marx. Oopsie. I almost went with Janae Valle, V-A-L-L-E, but my late husband, we were sitting in a restaurant in Mexico, outdoor restaurant. They were all outdoors. Where we go, said, too, kind of picturesque. And I was like, yeah, you're right. But hey, I only published 14 poems as Janae Marx. I could change to Janae Valle. Signing off as Janae Valle, everybody. That's G-E-N-A-E, like the Greek spelling, if there were one. Actually, a lot of Janaes online. Valle, V-A-L-L-E, like Batman's girlfriend. Good morning. I think it's 5 a.m. The sun is just rising. Bye. There will be doggies and doves outside the window today. No squirrels so much in this neighborhood. The squirrels and the bunny are in my neighborhood. Bye.